There's now over 6,000 foreign nationals are working as public servants in South Africa. The numbers were revealed by Public Service and Administration Minister Mzamo Buthelezi in Parliament in a response to a question by Action SA MP Dr. Tebogo Letlhape. DPSA Human Resource Management and Development DDG Nico Mabunda is joining me for that conversation. Nico, good evening and thank you very much for your time and coming on this evening. Does the 6,222 figure mean that there are 6,222 South Africans who've been denied employment?
Good evening, Taban. Good evening to the viewers. And thanks for inviting us so that we can have this conversation, which we think is quite important. I think it doesn't mean that there are 6,220 South Africans that are without jobs that have been taken by foreign nationals. We need to provide a particular context to that number. The first one is that it includes persons with dual citizenships that might be South Africans, but because they also have citizenship of another country, those then get counted as foreign nationals because our laws require us to be loyal to the Republic. It also includes permanent residents that have been granted by a court of law, by the Constitutional Court, that said that if you are a permanent resident, you have the same rights as individuals that are in South Africa. And people can acquire permanent residency based on a number of things, but as long as they adhere to the immigration laws of the country. And it also includes a number of participants in bilateral agreements, such as the Cuban-South Africa Mandela-Castro Agreement for engineering and health sectors, where we have identified as South Africa that there are a number of scarce skills that we have in the country that will require us to have foreign nationals to assist us in health, in engineering, due to the history of the country that has resulted in us having a limited qualifications in those areas. But most importantly, there is also a large number of interpreters in the criminal justice system, where you have French speakers and those that speak foreign languages that South Africans wouldn't even know, that will then find themselves employed for contract positions to interpret for persons that are found to be litigating in our systems. So South Africans wouldn't normally know some of those languages that would be there. So it does not necessarily mean that there are South Africans that do not have that are out of a job, but it means that there are foreign nationals that might be assisting us to achieve our developmental goals as South Africa.
Yeah. So are they qualified? Are you saying all 6,220 of them are qualified in skills that South Africans do not have?
Not necessarily. We have done a study and we found that there are some areas that we would like to go deeper into the analysis. So the majority of them are persons that are in highly skilled situations, as well as in the education sector, where we have a high number of individuals from foreign nationals, or foreign nationals rather, that are teaching in skills such as sciences, educating South Africans on mathematics, as well as engineering areas, especially in the further education and training colleges, the FETs. But there are some that we have also noted, and we are going deeper into that. Those ones that are in administration positions, some that are in secretarial positions. One is a driver, a messenger that we've noted, and we'll be following up on those to find out whether those ones that are in administrative positions are those that are fully foreign nationals, or they are those that just we have categorize them as foreign nationals due to them holding dual citizenship.
Yeah. So, I mean, the question of language has been raised. I'm sure you know the story recently in the debates that have been going on in the country. And many South Africans are saying, look, that is a very weak kind of argument that you're putting up. There are many South Africans who are bilingual. They can speak a number of languages that can hold these jobs of interpreters. Is there a proper guidance in place, a guidance on recruitment, selection, and that says this is how you must go about it, or you just simply look at a post and say, well, it requires a French speaker. There are no South Africans that can speak this, and therefore we can hire for a national here.
Yes, we do have clear guidelines. You would have heard before, and I think I also appeared here before, when we spoke about professionalization of the public service, especially looking at the issue of hiring South Africans in a meritocratic manner for them to join the public service. So one of the key things is that the Public Service Act is very clear about the processes that must be followed. We must be fair. We must look for the best person. There mustn't be any interferences. And we even go deeper into the regulations that we have set. We even set out a directive earlier this year that provides guidance to the departments that we have that says these are the processes that you must follow. There must be qualifications, there must be skills, there must be competencies, but there must also be integrity in the manner in which we recruit and the persons that we are recruiting. So that's a very critical point that you are raising, that we're not only looking at the issue of language, but there are also other considerations that we have to consider. I don't want to speak on behalf of the justice cluster, but you will know that in terms of the law in South Africa, when someone is arrested or is found to be in conflict with the law, they have to appear within 48 hours. So there will be those considerations as well that the Department of Justice will have to consider to see how best they can quickly get those services that they require. And you are quite correct. We are also engaging with the academia to change the curriculum to drive them towards areas where they can start teaching lessons or courses that will assist us to deal with some of these areas. And we have made serious strides into that has resulted in us reducing the numbers that you only now see less than 0.5%, in fact, out of 1.2 million public servants across the public service.
Yeah, there have been also concerns, for example, around the hiring, for example, of foreign nationals in a department like Home Affairs, and how that has impact on our porous immigration situation. People raising questions around that, whether there is quite stringent scrutiny around people who are hired in that department and what they have access to and what they are able to approve and not approve.
Yes, there are obviously cybersecurity concerns, but also national sovereignty issues that we have to think about. That's why we have now revised the directive on the hiring of foreign nationals so that we are very clear on what we need. Firstly, South Africans are prepared when you come to employing in the public service. That is the first priority that we have. The second one is that when we look at the employment of foreign nationals, they must be based on the shortage of critical skills in the public service. There must be demonstration that the department has gone out and looked for those skills and they have not been able to secure those skills. But once those people become successful in their quest to join the public service, they must then also be paired with a South African so that there is a transfer of skills and there is an understanding of that they must be legal in the public service in the Republic of South Africa. So as before an individual joins the public service, there is what we call personal suitability checks So those tests include making sure that they have the correct papers to be in South Africa. They can be traced. They can be located. They have some level of loyalty to the Republic. And we are also introducing what we call patriotism interventions in the Republic, where we try to educate how it helps for anyone who is in the public service to have some level of loyalty to the Republic itself. But most importantly, there's what we call Batupili principles that we champion as the Republic as the Department of Public Service and Administration. And the Batupili principles are taken straight from the constitutional values and principles, and they talk about being responsive, being accountable, and providing services to the public in a manner that the public wants and in a manner that will make the public enjoy those services. So we are looking at the measures to improve security, but also to ensure that whoever works in the South African public service serves South Africans in a manner that they want to be served and they deserve to be served.
Yes, somebody in the private sector asking, well, if government is allowed to hire foreign nationals, then private sector should also be allowed to do so.
Well, in the Republic of South Africa, we have the Public Service Act. We also have the Immigration Act. And they are quite very clear about the process that must be taken to employ people. So there is no law in South Africa that says a foreign national cannot be hired. The law in South Africa says before you can hire a foreign national, you have to demonstrate that there is a level of shortage of those skills that you cannot locate within the Republic of South Africa from South Africans. So we have to be very clear. So the public sector has to always hire first South Africans, then we can consider other persons that are out there.
Yeah.
And I think that even for the private sector, I'm in the public sector, but even for the private sector, there is a level of patriotism that they have to show if we want to have a developmental country that works, that they must then also prioritize South Africans.
Is there a quid pro quo in the public sectors of other countries to say they hire South Africans as readily hired they are here in South Africa?
We do not. We have not done a study to check how many South Africans are hired outside of the Republic. But for instance, in the justice system, I know that there are a lot of judges in South Africa that also serve in the benches of other countries. That one we are aware of. But there are also a lot of South Africans that are serving in the health sector in the United Kingdom, for instance. We have raised the challenge, the challenge that it comes with that, where we cry about the brain drain for the country. So there are South Africans that are working in foreign countries as well, but we don't have the numbers as we have not as yet studied or evaluated how many South Africans are out there.
Nico Mabunda, appreciate your time. DDG, Human Resource Management and Development there at the Public Service Administration. Well, the question was raised by Action SA in Parliament, and Member of Parliament who posed the question to the Minister, Dr. Letlape, joins us now for a reaction. Dr. Letlape, good evening and good to have you this evening.
Good evening to you and good evening to the viewers.
So the answer is there are those who have dual citizenship, there are those who are permanent residents, there are those who qualify in the highly skilled area that would have been hired in public service. But overall, it's not a situation where people with skills like driving, barring one or two, would be hired in the system.
We welcome the report and we'll look at it, but we just have a few areas of concern. One of them is about the 18 people that are employed in security structures. and we'll need to get details of what the criteria they met, whether they are permanent residents or whatever the issues might be. We also need to be mindful of the fact that we are aware that there are certain areas where we would look for people. When you look at the analysis, there's a greater number in health and in education.
Yeah.
The health is basically because of our maldistribution of healthcare professionals. And we recruit from outside to where South Africans don't want to go, in the rural areas in particular. In education, you have a lot of higher education institutions that will have open job searches for senior positions. So it is understandable, but we just need to know what the percentage is and the pursuit of ensuring that this is not for jobs that can be done by South Africans. We have a high unemployment rate, and we need to ensure that we put many South Africans into jobs.
Yeah. What would have sparked the question? What was the motivation for you asking that question?
The motivation is to know. I mean, we've just had startling statements from the mayor of Johannesburg talking about wanting to employ foreigners into our security forces. So that raises a question to, do we understand where we are with employment of foreign nationals? But there are also some things that sort of are interesting, and we'll look at them. There's some numbers that are higher in certain areas, like procurement structures, infrastructure, provincial treasuries, etc. And we need to be mindful of, don't we have the skills for that? And when you begin to have no local absorption, remember when you had doctors not being employed, them camping outside KZN,
yes,
you then wonder, what is happening? Is it inappropriate staffing norms? Is it inappropriate use of resources? Or are we becoming indifferent to our own?
Yeah. How would you then characterize that situation? Because we are seeing, as you put it, a high number of foreign nationals being hired in the health sector. We've got doctors who are qualified, but we hire doctors from outside because doctors here in the country might not want to go to particular rural areas. How do we solve that? Because it's not a matter that we don't have those skills. We've got doctors who are qualified here, doctors who want to be placed into the health system in the country, but there seems to be no incentives, I suppose, for them to go and practice in rural parts of South Africa.
I think we should be mindful of the fact that we don't have sufficient doctors. And we have many other healthcare professionals where we have shortages. So the issue of non-absorption is not based on no need. It's based on inappropriate management of our resources. And that we've created personnel in areas that are not necessary. The non-frontline posts never shrink and are ever growing. And it is the frontline posts that are being shared. So we have some structural anomalies that require urgent and serious attention in terms of where we employ, particularly in health. We need to reduce administrative posts. And this is a problem that we have not just in the public sector. If you go to the privatized sector, medical aids, there's a lot of money that goes to administration, and people have shortfalls, people have co-payments, people have insufficient cover. There's lots of exclusions in terms of care. So we need to ensure that health money is spent in the right places. And to that extent, we will be engaging with the respective minister to ensure that that analysis gets done of how are we doing in terms of resourcing the front line.
Yes.
You know, there's an issue of posts that are being frozen, posts that are funded, but the need is not fully funded. So when you do not fund the need fully and it keeps decreasing, you create the problem of not absorbing what we produce, even though what we produce does not meet the need.
Now, when we look at this report, I mean, if you look at it, are we at a point where in the areas where foreign nationals are hired, we should worry about national security issues? Are they hired in critical security areas of national importance?
Yes, that is an area that we should be very vigilant on. And